And we are back. It's another edition, week 12 of the Fantasy NFL recap. Bish, how are you?
I'm good. Yeah, it's been a good weekend, like you said. Thanksgiving weekend, some extra games thrown in there, the Thursday, the Friday. Set us up nicely for the Sunday, and some great games on that Sunday. So yeah, some headlines coming out of that game. You know, the Steelers, they sacked their offensive coordinator, and then it's the first game in 58 games over 400 yards. They finally win the yardage battle and get a victory this year. So yeah, they're flying. The Broncos are flying, 5 wins in a row. And then 2 great games. One we knew would be we thought would be a good game. The Jags and the Texans. That delivered in the fourth quarter with that doink on the crossbar there. And then for me, the game of the season so far, you know, the Bills and the Eagles, that were an outstanding game. So, you know, the Eagles find a way. So yeah, some great games, some big implications, and some big fantasy implications in the punt league as well. So how would you find it this week, Joe?
Yeah, same as you, Bish. I'm not that I was waning a bit on my NFL because I've watched every week. I watch every game I can, but I'm back raring with a passion because I think that the storylines are emerging now. For a while, I felt like we were in the wilderness and everything was trying to get figured out. There wasn't many clear teams. Some of the teams like Pittsburgh who were winning weren't that good. There were ups and downs. I wasn't convinced about Philly early on. It's all starting to clear itself up now, Bish, which is, I think, good for us and our predictions and good for the league in the whole because there have been some bad games. It's been a down year, but what a week. I'm back. I'm hungry as ever, and it was a great week of NFL football. So, yeah, I'm absolutely flying, Bish, to be honest.
Good to hear it.
Yeah. I'm happy, like I said, Carolina sacking their head coach has been sacked. There's a lot of changes happening now, and a vision for the bottom, vision for the top, and quite a few teams in that middle field that I think are now having to make them decisions whether they go for it or they've not got a chance. So yeah, it's I think another show's due soon, Bish, that we can rattle through them all and give our thoughts on the season so far. Maybe a 4/6 way through the season review, and let's get into it now. It's all cleared up.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, like you said, we're getting to the business end now, and like you said, some teams are you just mentioned it there. Frank Reich has gone from the Panthers. Some teams in that middle ground, it's now decision time. Do you get rid of your coach or coaches, clear the decks, and give yourself the first opportunity to start talking to some big coordinators have been linked to it with some head coaching jobs.
Yeah, and another, like you said earlier, another great week in the fantasy league. Not for you though, Bish. Take us through your loss. You lost this week.
I'll just get it up. Yeah, not quite for me. I come up against a formidable force in Group 7. You know, Matty Grimes. To be fair, it's been a good battle. Let me just try and get it up here. And I'd say the app has got me a 1% chance of winning tonight. So I'm,
still a chance.
There's still a hope. There's still in there, but I'm 28 points down. I've got TJ Hawkinson left, and Grimes has got Jordan Addison. So he's to be fair, it's gone. We went blow for blow quarterbacks. CJ Stroud, I had 30 points. He had Dak, who had a great Thanksgiving with 32 points. McCaffrey had a massive game for him with 28. I'm just trying to find where the biggest difference was, really. Defenses were similar. Jonathan Taylor had a big game for him. I think what let me down was Puka. Puka Nacua only 4.7 points. And Eckler last night, that fumble cost me a couple of points. So, yeah, but it's I still had a big game from Keenan Allen. Ayuk got me a touchdown. David Montgomery delivered. But, yeah, Grimes are just too good at the minute. So I sent him a little message. I'm saying he's won the battle, but the war's still going, and I'm sure I'll see him down the track in the playoffs.
Well, Bish, I got a message from Tag saying, "How's that Kyron Williams now?" And we'll get into him a bit later, but I'm flying another win from me. There's still Rashawn Johnson from Chicago to play for Danny Bravo. But I've got DJ Moore and Khalil Herbert to go. So I think another comfortable win. I'm recommended, or I'm predicted 126 points. I'm currently on 103. Let's go, Bish. In other place in the league, we've got Tag. A quick update on Tag. He's now going to go 10-2. What a season's Tag's having. All the slaughter I've given him has been proven wrong. Made some brilliant moves. We've got Isaac Farrell doing awesome. He's at what a year. Isaac's, I'd say, he's hardly. He's never played, but this is his first ever fantasy season, if I'm not correct, Bish.
Yeah, his first ever fantasy season, and he's had Justin Jefferson out on IR for the last 8 weeks as well. So yeah, he's done very well. I think worst trade of the season was me giving him Raheem Mostert early on. So he's delivered week in, week out, and he's Josh Allen as well. 40 points off Josh Allen this week. So that'll take some stopping. And Sam as well. Sam's unbeaten 4-game stretch has come to an end. It looks like, as you said, we tagged Pippin him. So that race for that 6th spot, I think the top 5 are pretty much sealed now. That 6th spot, I think there's 2 or 3 teams knocking about with. I think there's Jason Bass, Marcus Stock.
Bass on 5 and 6. Sam's going to be on 5 and 7. Did Seabass win?
Seabass got beat by Stocky, so Stocky will go up to 5 and 7. Bass will be on 5 and 7, and Sam will be on 5 and 7.
Wow!
So 3-1 for that last spot at the minute.
Yeah,
2 weeks to go.
It's all picking up. We'll load it back up for a show in the future, and we'll go through it. We'll take you through all the stuff. Hopefully, the reason we stopped it earlier on for our loyal viewers is the connection goes and it adds a bit too much. But we'll get a show and we'll go through it all for you, and we'll both have to be stood next to our Wi-Fi cable to there's no interruptions. But it's really interesting. The league's on, and it should be a great lead up into the playoffs and great playoffs, Bish. But Bish, take us through obviously the bad bit of news, the injury report. We'll start the show off.
Yeah, I'm going to start off with the New Orleans Saints here. A bit of an interesting game. They just went through a bad patch with injuries. They had Chris Olave was having a great game, almost 15 fantasy points. He went up for a big catch, caught it, got his legs taken from under him, landed on the back of his neck, and he was done. I think he left in the 3rd quarter, out with concussion. Michael Thomas is already on injured reserve. And then Rashid Shaheed went off with a thigh injury as well. So I think I just saw a report as we come on. That's day to day. So I'm not sure whether he'll be fit for next week. But and then the tight end, Juwan Johnson, left the field for a bit of time as well. So yeah, they just were decimated at the minute. So Olave's in concussion protocol, so that's one to look at. Generally, not many players have come back, inside a week for that one. So that's one to look at. Shaheed, I said, is day to day, and Johnson, I think, was okay. So that's one to look at, and fantasy implications. The young rookie A.T. Perry might get a few more snaps. He looks pretty explosive. Again, another sort of home run hitter. And then if all those wide receivers are out, Johnson, I think we'll get a heavy workload. They're coming up against the Lions, so the Lions score points, so it could be a bit of a high scoring one, that one.
Yeah, Derek Carr struggled this year. I mean, Bish, I don't know if I'm speaking too harshly on him. Obviously, like you said, there's been a lot of injuries, but I'm excited to see Jameis. Let's put it that way. Jameis, and with the quality of a lot of players, a lot of starting quarterbacks or backups that have now started through injuries and different circumstances. I feel bad for Jameis, but I feel like he could be in for a contract year next year, Bish. He could be on a new team and he could be slinging the ball out as a starter once again, because unless they all draft loads of quarterbacks, I think there'll be a few openings available. And Jameis is certainly the best of a bad bunch, but of a bunch that I think he'll do really well. There's him, Tyler Heineke, Gardner Minshew that will probably buy him for a couple of spots out there. Looking at New England, looking at, depending on Will Levis and what they think of him, but he's been quite good actually. I would want to say Tennessee, but there's a few other spots where I think there'll be openings, and them 3 are the names that I'll be interested to see where they end up this year.
Yeah, you're right. I think there will be. And just a stat from the weekend from Adam Schefter on X. When Jake Browning started for the Bengals, he was the 50th different quarterback to start a game this season. So it just shows you, it's we talk about it, 32 quarterbacks, but they're just churning through these quarterbacks. So, like you said, it's very important for a team to these days have a good backup, because if you look at the Browns now, Deshaun goes out. It looks like. Well, sorry, I won't go into it. I'll let you go into it.
Yeah.
I'm spoiling your thunder there a bit. I got a bit carried away, but I think it's important that these good teams in the playoffs, they need that backup, that decent backup quarterback. So on that, I'll leave you to go on.
My injury report, Bishop.
Yeah,
News that it's the Cleveland Browns. Obviously, they've had Nick Chubb injured, Deshaun Watson now out for the season a couple of weeks back. A lot of other positions as well, but and more big names have gone. Myles Garrett's picked up an injury, could be out for a couple of weeks. We've got Dorian Thompson-Robinson, the backup QB, out with a head injury, could be a couple of weeks again. And then thirdly, the top wide receiver on the team now, Amari Cooper, he's got a rib injury. The reports are positive, but I think it'll be a tough ask for him to come back this week. But we should see him at least again this season. But yeah, we've got they've been unlucky, Bish. The Browns, as you were saying, they're now on to PJ Walker. Is it? I believe.
Well, they've got PJ Walker there, but they've also signed Joe Flacco as well. They've pulled him off the street, so
wow,
it'll be interesting to see what they go with. Obviously, they tried PJ Walker earlier on in the season and actually benched him for Dorian Thompson-Robinson. So and now they've brought in Joe Flacco. So yeah, it'll be. They're against the Rams this week, so yeah, it'll be. I'll be watching it, so it'll be interesting to see which option they go with.
Well, out of the top positions in NFL, American football, you'd say your QB's the most important. He's injured. Your running back's very important. He's injured, especially Nick Chubb, one of the top 5 running backs in the game. Your defensive end's probably the second most important position. Myles Garrett injured, and now you've got your top wide receiver injured as well in Amari Cooper. So can't really get worse for them, and they're only 7-4, Bish. So I think that shows where the rest of the league are at. To be honest,
that's it. If they can hold on to this and hold on to a playoff spot, I think Myles Garrett is a massive one. If he, I think there's talk. Well, he's sort of talking that he could possibly play through the injury, but obviously I'm not sure if they've actually diagnosed it yet. But if he can't go, that strong defense they've sort of built their season around, it could unravel pretty quickly for him.
Well, I've got down here, Bish, on my notes that he's currently in a sling. There's not got official reports back yet, as you said. So we'll see. But if he's in a sling, it might be a couple of weeks. Hopefully, it's not season ending, but probably won't be seeing him this weekend. I don't think.
I hope not. Let's keep Stafford on his feet.
yeah, against them, yeah. So no, 2 teams there, Bish, that are had a nightmare of injury. It seems to be slightly the theme of the year. We've done this show now, obviously all season long, and there've always been 4 or 5 key players. 4 or 5, 2 or 3 key players every week that are injured. It seems crazy, obviously, especially quarterbacks. Crazy year, Bish. I know I keep saying it, but I don't really know how to quantify. Like, this isn't normal what you're seeing. There's always loads of injuries in NFL, but in these key positions, we're finding out how good team composition and team rostering in the deep, how deep these teams are and how good some of the teams are building, as you said, because every team's getting found out and every team's getting put under injury pressure.
Yeah, and I think it's something that possibly might need to have a look at, because we've added an extra game. There's now 18 games, but teams have still only got 1 bye week. So if you've got a bye week very early, I think they start from week 4, or you've got it very late, week 13, 14, you're playing a lot of games there without any rest. And the big talking buzzword now is player welfare, and everything's and ultimately you want the best players on the field to give the best product. That brings in the fans, it brings in the sponsors, and it's a business at the end of the day. So yeah, it's one to possibly look at, and because we don't want to be watching these games and seeing, I don't want to I don't want to disrespect any players, to be honest, but you don't want to be seeing two backup quarterbacks playing. That Chicago Carolina game from a couple of weeks ago, 16-13, just it's not what you want to see on TV. It's not what's going to sell tickets and that. So yeah, hopefully it's just a one-off, and next season we're back to having the best out there.
Yeah, all in agreement. Let's. Well, I was going to say something more positive, but we've got the fantasy flops. I'll take you through mine. Start off with Bish, someone who I drafted in all my leagues. I think drafted in all my leagues. I think I've traded him away in a lot. Saquon Barkley, 5.7 fantasy points and 46 yards. Yeah, Saquon's been struggling. I think this is more, as we said, Daniel Jones being injured, another team that have been very injury ridden. Big argument, Bish, actually on the injuries. So I'm making this about the MetLife Stadium turf is known as to be one of the worst, and that probably shows with the Giants having so many injuries. But yeah, I think this is. I can't see Saquon anything massively changing. They've got too many injuries, I think, the Giants, and it just limits Saquon so much. He's turned into an RB2, which means he's not in them top brackets of. He should be filling that second spot at running back now. Whether people have been quick enough to adjust to that, I luckily have. I got Kyron Williams in. I'm a genius now. I'm not, but I got a good week, and I can show off for 1 week. So I'm not seeing what he's doing, but yeah, I can't see it changing. Bish, can you? I think the team's too bad, and I think at best you've still got a bit of a ceiling there. But 5.2, sorry, not 5.2, 5.7 fantasy points. Is that even a floor anymore?
No, it's not, is it? From your main running back, and just touching on the MetLife, Jalen Phillips went down as well with a torn Achilles on Friday for the Dolphins. So that's another one on that pitch. But yeah, it's tough. I'm just trying to get him up now and have a look at his schedule for the end of the year. But like you said, a backup quarterback in there, teams can sort of home in on him. And he's got a tough schedule. He's on the bye next week, then Green Bay, which possibly might be his last big game of the year, and then it's New Orleans, Philadelphia, and the Rams. So yeah, it's not looking too good for the playoffs for him. But yeah, I think you've traded him away. I wouldn't go near him, but I suppose if you've taken him, you're going to play him, aren't you? And just you're going to hope it's the volume that gets you there rather than the quality, I guess.
Yeah, 5 points. I'm really not excited about him. But like you said, hopefully, if you've got any value left, trade him quick. He's got a tough fantasy. He's even got his bye coming up. I don't think it's going to serve you much keeping him around as your RB1. Do what you can. Good luck, but as you said, Bish, will be tough to shift him, I think.
Yeah, and just rolling into mine, I've got Cooper Kupp here on the flops. 3.3 fantasy points in the punt this week, just 18 yards on 3 receptions, and he went off injured last week, and all talk has been that he's good to go this week. I actually made a trade for him on the deadline in another league for him, thinking he'd be good to go. And from early on, you could see he was struggling. I think he caught one early, and then he was on the sideline for a while. He wasn't moving freely, so that's a big one. Especially those that have had him all year. It's been a tough year with injuries for him, and a bit concerning. The last 5 games, he's been under 10 points in all the games. So again, a bit like Saquon. You drafted him high, although you might have got him a bit late, to be honest, because he did start the year on injured reserve. But still, you're expecting big things from him. His next 2 games are the Browns and the Ravens, so it's not getting any easier. The only icing on the cake is a playoff run. He's got the Commanders and the Giants both in there, so can you still be in contention in 3 weeks' time and hopefully explode in the playoffs for you?
Great, Bish. I think like you said, it completely depends where he lands in your roster. If he's in that flex position there, you can transfer him in and out and play him on the good matchups. I think you can keep him. You can keep going with him. You can be patient. Otherwise, you like you said, if you've got him in that wide receiver 2 role, it gets a bit more panicky, doesn't it, Bish? Because I think you need that consistency in that playoff run now. This is where you need them to perform. And with his bad run at the moment, and as you just said, they're playing clearly with an injury at the moment. I'm not too excited, and like I said, you might be looking elsewhere. Even the waiver wire, there's always wide receivers you can pick up on a week-to-week basis. You might have to start moving on from the great Cooper Cup.
Yeah, I think for the next 2, he's on the bench, and you're hoping he comes good after that.
Yeah. I'll take you through my second fantasy flop. I've got James Conner at 5.2 fantasy points. I put James Conner in, Bish, because I want to talk about the Cardinals. What happened? You obviously, as a Rams fan, probably watched this game closer than I did. Thought I'd get your opinion, but from what I saw, I was devastated for James Conner. I had him obviously in the betting. I thought he could have got the touchdown. He got stopped early, and then I've done my classic. My brain's gone. The quarterback got the running touching.
Kyler
Murray. Sorry, fresh. Kyler Murray got the rushing touchdown instead. So I was a bit devastated for him, but otherwise, didn't do much. I remember in Pittsburgh, they let him go. Because he didn't run hard enough. He didn't have enough explosion anymore. To be fair to him, he proved them wrong. He had a brilliant year last year. I just don't know how excited I am for the rest of the season, Bish. I don't know if he's quite there, other than them needing him, and he got loads of touchdowns, didn't he? I don't know if his yards per carry were that good last year. He just ended up with, I think it was about 12, 13 touchdowns. So, I'm not excited about James Conner. I'm definitely not trading him, not picking him up, and staying way away and looking what else I've got on my bench to maybe cover for him now, because I'm wiping my hands with James Conner.
Yeah, I was a bit surprised, if I'm honest. Kyler back. They had a bit of a bounce last week, and I thought it'd be a close game. A tough game, divisional game, and the Rams just blew them away, if I'm honest. Kyren Williams over 200 rushing yards, and it was just out of sight pretty early, and the Rams coasted. So yeah, it's again a team that started very poorly, was in that shout for the near top 5 pick, number 1 pick, and then it seems like this is possibly one of those teams where they are in that middle ground. They're not in the playoffs. They're not in contention for the playoffs, but they're not bad enough to be in the contention for those early pick. Well, that number 1, number 2 pick. So yeah, it could be a bit of a treading water for the next few weeks for them. So yeah, have to wait and see. Hopefully they can bounce back after that Rams performance.
Yeah, they should have a high pick at this point. I don't know what, like I said, they're kind of stuck, aren't they? Because with Kyler Murray being away earlier on, their record's awful. But then they were showed a bit of promise the last couple of weeks. So I don't know what I don't know what they tanked for, because I think they've got the quarterback, unless they're willing to move on from him. But to be fair, Kyler's been probably the one positive over the last couple of weeks. He's looked pretty good. Looks like he's now studying and playing less Call of Duty, and he's he's on it. So yeah, it's interesting. But as a Cardinals fan, I'm probably excited for the next year or two if they pick up some defensive pieces and sign some in free agency. They've got something there. They've got a young core. Maybe get another running back. Like I said, James Conner's getting a bit old now, but otherwise, there's a couple of things to be excited about. I just think that this year, that move on. Let's wipe your hands. Let's see Kyler and them get it going, and be excited for next year, I think.
Yeah, just had a quick look. They are 3rd overall, worst record. I thought they'd won a few more games than that, so it could be an interesting end to the season. But yeah, I think they'll probably stick with Kyler.
Yeah.
So they're not in the race for a quarterback. So yeah, we'll see how that one goes. And my second fantasy flop is a kicker. The punt, I'm showing kickers. We show kickers love every week. Sometimes they've got to be on the other end of it. And, Matt Amendola, the Texans kicker, in that game that we thought it was a game. Whoever won that was number one seed in the division. And he missed a field goal. He missed 2 field goals. One from about 50 yards, put it wide right. And then one with the last kick of the game, 58 yards. It's a fair effort, to be fair, but he just didn't have the leg power. It doinked off the crossbar and fell short. And he's ended up with one fantasy point. He kicked 3 conversions, his extra points, but he's missed 2 kicks there, which proved costly in the end as a loss by 3 points. So yes, Matt Amendola actually covering for the injured Kaimi Fairbairn at the minute as well. So a backup kicker coming in and unfortunately didn't get the job done at the weekend.
Kicking is very important in this league. I think, like you said, they get a lot of hate. I'm happy with the podcast that gives them love, or I guess respect, I'd say the word is, to mention them either way, because they're so important, aren't they? It's who can handle the pressure, and a lot of the times them key moments do come down to the kicker. That you can have all the quarterback, but if your kicker can't do them 50-yard kicks, or at least consistently, you're certainly a lot more under pressure than you would have been if you've a lot of confidence in your kicker, like in Justin Tucker or others that are out there. Bish, next one. We've got your one, so lead us through again. Back to back, Bish. Bish's breakout, stop player of the week. Who have you got?
My player of the week, on a losing cause, I must admit, but in that game that I think was the game of the season, it's Josh Allen. And he's sat at 40.7 fantasy points. He's thrown for 339 yards. He's got 2 passing touchdowns. He's ran 2 in himself, and he's ran for 89 yards as well. And I just think this Bills team, they've got to a point where I don't know what more Josh Allen can do. What more can he do? He needs his defense to come up with a play to try and help him out. He's literally got the team on his back. He did throw an interception, but I'm not sure what more he can do, if I'm honest. He's and I feel for him because they're a team that are there. They're there. They can take that step. They've got a lot of injuries on defense, as Sam said on our fantasy chat. We had with Sam, which is also live on the YouTube channel. Little plug there, But yeah, they've got some injuries on defense, but he's doing everything he can to try and drag them and win these big games. And for me, he's just getting no help, and it's hard to watch.
Fishy were awesome, wasn't he? I've got no other, like you said, no other compliments to give him. Over awesome, I think is the word. I watched every snap of this game, and he was just phenomenal throughout. Other than the interception, he made the plays. He led the drive to get the field goal. He did everything he could in overtime, and he just no help in that second. In the overtime when Philadelphia got the ball. It looked so easy. It looked so easy to get that touchdown. They literally play by play slowly did it. I think there were Josh Allen converted multiple in the one to get the field goal, in the overtime section to get the field goal. He converted 3 3rd and 8s, 3rd and 9s, 3rd and 7s. I think they were the order. Don't quote me if I'm not exactly, but he did it 3 times, 3 and long, I would say. That's the way to put it. In it, 3 and long, converted it 3 times, come up with the plays to get the points on the board, and did what he could. Philadelphia got the ball back. Jalen Hurts ran through it like a butter that's just been on the stove and got nice and warm, nice and easy. And the rest is history. That defense, like I said, unlucky with injuries, but I think they could have done a bit more, made a few moves, and really, they've got a playoff window here that's closing, I think, slowly over the years. Josh Allen's not getting any younger. You've got Diggs there, who's certainly probably not got that many years left. You've got a couple of older players there. They really need to I think they should have gone for it more this year, but next year they need to get it right because I don't think Diggs will be there much longer, and a couple of them other injuries happen. Josh Allen can only do what he does for so long. He plays such a physical brand of football. Basically, I want to see some moves from Buffalo in the offseason.
Yeah, so do I. I've been desperate for him to sign another wide receiver. Dalton Kincaid stepped up. To be fair, he looks very good. But yeah, he needs help, and it pretty much looks like they're going to struggle this year for the playoffs. They've still got a very tough schedule. They're behind on the wild card places. Miami to play as well. So yeah, hopefully they can get it right and have another crack at it next year.
Yeah. Take you through my Bish's breakout. I've got the man who I traded for. I mentioned a couple of times in the show already. Kyren Williams, 16 carries, 143 yards, 6 for 6 receptions with no drops, 61 yards and 2 touchdowns, 35.4 fantasy points. Happy I traded for him, Bish. I didn't realise it'd be this good. I was happy I got the trade off. Like I said, got Saquon, a couple of my other running backs out of there. Took Kyren in because of what I quoted it, and it's there. I've got it there. It's actually the last chat in the group chat, playoff bound, and I am now playoff bound. Kyren Williams has got me in the playoffs, and I'm so excited for the next couple of weeks now because if he carries on how he's going, I could be on. The Rams looked awesome, and it was all Kyren. As I said, Packer Nakua, Cooper Kupp, both had tough weeks. Kyren did most of the workload along with Royce Freeman, the backup running back. It was just all on the ground, all Kyren. And the tight end, Higbee, played very well as well, so I'll be fair to Higbee. But Kyren Williams completely dominated, and long may it continue. Long may it continue into my playoff run.
Yeah, it was great to see him back. Like you said, he dominated. He's on the ground, also in the receiving game as well. He just looked outstanding. And a little stat for you: the Rams with Kyren Williams are 4-3 this year, averaging 25 points a game. Without him, they're 1-4 and average 14 points a game. So it just shows what a massive difference he makes. And he sent you to the playoffs, Joe. A couple more good performances like that, and I think the Rams will be nicking that last wild card spot. I think.
They've done it over the years, haven't they? I think all good Ram teams are with a very good running back. Todd Gurley, straight into mind. When they won the Super Bowl, who was their starting running back? I might have just shot myself in the foot with this one.
We had Cam Akers came back from his Achilles.
Before his second injury, wasn't it? Was that?
Yeah, that was yeah.
No, so
he came back for the win, but we also had Sony Michel. And was it Henderson as well? It might have been. There were 3 of them.
Yeah, there were 3. Yeah, but Akers back, didn't he, in the playoff run was actually quite good. Then I know he's faded off now, but I'll give myself that one. Obviously, Todd. They run a very read pass option offense.
Yeah,
they need a good running back, and they've got one again. Darrell Henderson's that couple of years older. He didn't do the job. None of the other backups did. Kyren's come in and showed what a good running back can do in that brilliant Rams offense.
And it's perfect because if you set up the run, the play action comes into play then, and then that brings in Cooper Kupp and Puka. So yeah, running game is vital. And speaking of running backs, I'll nicely go into mine. My second one, it's Bijan Robinson, and we've spoke about him all year. We've wanted to see him get more and more touches, and Arthur Smith, whether it's just pure stubbornness, he's finally giving. And he's giving him the ball. 16 carries, 91 yards, 32 receiving yards as well. And he's got a touchdown both rushing and receiving. So he's becoming, a main fixture in this side. One that we expected, and it's finally arriving now. And in time for them to make a playoff push for themselves, they're now winning the division. They're 3-0 in the division. Although it's a subpar division, they are 5-6. But if you win your division, you get in. So they're looking good. Maybe the quarterback play is hurting them a little bit, but I think if they can get that ball in Bijan's hands as often as possible, good things will happen.
I don't want to give Arthur Smith a compliment because, like I said, all fantasy owners, all fantasy football players probably hate him. But I believe I like the way he's done it. I think there's so many times over the last 4 or 5 years now where they overuse rookie running backs, and then you don't see the longevity in their careers. Obviously, there's been loads, isn't there, to mention, but I think we see it all too often where they get used too heavily in that first year, and he's just tapered it. Like with Jahmyr Gibbs, I think they're learning and they're tapering it up and up and up, not overusing their bodies and getting them ready for that playoff run. And if he comes out and says he's done this on purpose, which I think he kind of has done, he's a bit weird with press, isn't he? So he doesn't actually give away. But if he comes out and says, no, it was all a plan and the conference wasn't, well, he won't say the conference wasn't amazing, but he might have been thinking that it's time to perfection. And they've got Bijan on full form going into their playoff run, not fantasy football's their own playoff run now. It gives them a chance to pull off a win, I think.
Yeah, definitely. I think maybe a little bit with that running backs it's massively important, the pass blocking, the pass protection. So maybe that's some reason why some of them are a bit slower to get out there on the field, especially on the passing downs, especially with the Desmond Ridder rookie quarterback. Ideally, you want someone who's in there who's gonna pick up that blitz and sort of protect him a little bit. So that might be an added reason, or like you said, it might just be that Tyler Algier was awesome last year. We'll give him benefit of the doubt and make sure he gets his carries, but it's they've got some good weapons out there. They run the ball well, and I think if they can keep the ball, keep gridded, doing simple things, get it in Bijan's hands, rely on the defense, I think they can win that division.
Yeah, definitely. I'll take you through my second Bish's breakout player of the week. I've got Derrick Henry, 76 yard, 2 touchdowns. I think 20.66 fantasy points. He was brilliant. Reason I bring this up though, Bish, Derrick Henry in particular, I want your thoughts because obviously Sam last week come on and said, wow, I've timed it perfectly. Love the fact he thinks he's predicted Derrick Henry. I'm still not fully convinced because I think if they start the game off well and they get that control of the game early, i.e. go get a touchdown up early or get the field goals without their opponent getting any back and the defence stands up, Derrick Henry's a brilliant fantasy player. But as we've seen throughout the season, if the opposition gets even a touchdown, it becomes really irrelevant really quickly because Ty Spears is a brilliant pass catching down back. I'm just not convinced because I don't know I think it depends on how well the team do to start that first quarter.
I agree with you. It's all script dependent, isn't it? If they're level or if they're ahead, it works perfectly for him. But if they're chasing a game, he's just not going to be on the field because, like you said, he doesn't catch passes. Just looking at the schedule, I think the biggest one Sam mentioned was his record against the Houston Texans. He's been sort of their owner, if I'm honest. He's run for 200 yards. You see the big highlights of him stiff arming and running for 99-yard touchdowns against the Texans. So, and he plays them both week 15 and 17. So, but other than that, he's got Miami coming up, Indianapolis. So, again, it's all game script dependent, and like you said, it is. He's a big guy. He takes some stopping, but it's. I think you've got to do a bit of guessing work and hoping that like you said, game script that they're in a game, and with a rookie quarterback, it's a bit unpredictable. It could go either way for you.
And I know that his record against the Texans, like you said, is unbelievable. But they've got CJ Stroud now, and he is in, as what you say, full form. He's absolutely flying. He's going for 400 plus. Throwing yards a game, he's absolutely slinging the ball. Will they be able to afford the slow running game of Derrick Henry against the gunslinger? They're probably the top gunslinger in the league along with Josh Allen, CJ Stroud. I don't know if that's the plan. If it works ahead early, they can certainly try. But I think we'll let the need Will Levis to stand up in them games, and I don't know how much necessity they'll have for a Derrick Henry slow grinding 4 yards a carry.
I agree with you. Like you said, they've got to be in front to make it work because otherwise, CJ Stroud is just going to blow them out of the water, I think.
But no, well done, Sam. You like I said, you've got it this week. If he does carry on, yeah, great trade and good luck. Hopefully, you make the playoffs if he does carry on. Bish, the final, not the final one. I'm jumping ahead. We've got one. We've got the punt projects. We've got the waiver wire pickups. As I said, it's getting late in the season now, so there's not as many each week. But Bish, take us through your waiver wire pickup.
I've got a couple. I'll go either side of you here, and I'm just looking at the buys this week. There's 6 teams on buys. There's the Ravens, the Bills, the Bears, the Raiders, the Vikings, and the Giants. And what I'm getting out of that is tight ends. Komet. Well, Mark Andrews is already injured, but you've got Komet, you've got Kincaid, Hawkinson. So there's some big tight ends. So my first one I'm going to throw up is, we spoke about him earlier, is Juwan Johnson for the Saints. They're coming up. He's actually 9% owned on the Sleeper app. They're coming up against the Lions, which we've seen they throw the ball, they score points, and potentially the Saints are going to have the three starting wide receivers all out here. We've said Michael Thomas is on injured reserve. Shaheed and Olave are ones to watch out for. But if they can't go, or if only one of them can go, I can see Johnson getting a heavy workload here. He had 4 out of 7 receptions at the weekend just gone for 45 yards. And I think he can get peppered a bit more than that. So in a week where we've got some big tight ends on buys, and you might need a streaming option for 1 week, I think he's a viable option there.
Yeah. All them teams you mentioned have got a very valuable tight end. So there'll be a lot of people panicking, and a lot of fab spent on Juwan Johnson. Juwan Johnson. My one, Bish, is someone, obviously a Green Bay Packer. I've got Christian Watson. He's not available in all leagues. He's available in ours. I think with how things are going for the team, Bish, I just like him. Jordan Love's getting going. He's actually nearly got identical stats to Aaron Rodgers in his first season. It's really crazy, I believe. That other than the game, other than the record, I think Aaron Rodgers had one more win than Jordan Love. It's very, very, very scarily similar. I've always said I liked him. They've got a bunch of rookies and second years all over the park on defense. Their offense is all just rookies at the moment. Now Aaron Jones is injured and the running back, and AJ Dillon isn't performing that well. They've got Reed. Watson's a second year. Obviously, Dobbs is a second year, so I say rookies. But they've got a very young team. And I think they just needed to get going. Their future will be in the next couple of years once more. But Christian Watson will be viable, I believe. They've got Kansas City. Then have to throw the ball. Even though the defense is going well for Kansas City, they'll be throwing the ball a lot. They've got the Giants, who you can slice like warm butter on a stove, as I said earlier. An awful analogy, but I'll carry on. They've got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who don't have cornerbacks, and they've got the Carolina Panthers. It's a pretty good, other than Kansas City, whose defense have been good, but game script might allow for it. It's a very, very good, favourable finish to the season. And I think Christian Watson will be someone who I'm picking up. I've already got him on my waiver wire, so I'm hoping no one comes in the next day. I'm watching you, Bish, comes in on the next day and pays more fab than me.
Well, just between me and you, Joe, I actually made a waiver claim for him earlier today, so we'll see who's got the most money. But no, I agree with you. I think you mentioned Dobbs a couple of weeks ago as well. This Green Bay team now, Jordan Love, he seems to be full of confidence. He's finding his groove. The young guys are expressing themselves, and I think it plays into it that they've not got that running game now as well. Jordan Love's taking more on his shoulders, and we saw Thanksgiving against the Lions. He was just ripping them straight from the opening kickoff. The first drive, he was ripping them out there. So. I think that's a great shout. I think the only problem you've got is that they've got a few viable options in that in those wide receivers that could go off, but definitely Christian Watson you'd think would be the number one target. So yeah, that's we'll see what he goes for on waivers.
You made me nervous now. I'm just going to check how much fab you've got, Bish. But take us through your second punt project.
My second one, it's a defense here, and as I said, we're getting to that end of the year where the playoffs are up for grabs, and defenses can be the difference in some cases, big points. And I'm going with the Indianapolis Colts. They're only 11%. They've just come off a game where they've put up 12 points, but I'm looking at the running, and in this order, they've got the Tennessee Titans, Will Levis, rookie quarterback. They've got the Cincinnati Bengals, Browning, backup quarterback. They've got Kenny Pickett. They've then got Desmond Ridder, who is obviously shaky, threw an interception this week. And then they finish with, well, if you make the final, they finish with the Raiders, which is obviously another rookie, Aidan O'Connell. So they've got a nice run of games there, I think, from now till the end of the playoffs. And they're pretty. I like them on defense, to be fair. You know, they've got some. DeVoris Buckner gets after you. The linebackers, Zaire Franklin, you know, they cause some trouble as well. So I think if you're playing percentages and you're looking for those points, I think you take your chances against some of those backup and rookie quarterbacks. So it might be a sneaky play for you in the weeks coming ahead.
Brilliant, Bish. I'll keep that one in mind, actually, when I'm on my Bish, we'll finish off our favourite segment. We've already mentioned the punters. We've got the best kicker or storyline of the week for our amazing kickers.
My kicker of the week, it's got to be for me, the Eagles, Jake Elliott. 4 out of 4 of his extra points. But I think the big one is, you know, they were trailing 15. The Eagles botched up the last drive. You know, I think two false starts, pushed them back 10 yards. 59-yarder in the rain to take it to overtime. Jake Elliott steps up, absolutely smashes it straight through. Unbelievable kick in those conditions, and sets them up for an overtime win. So yeah, for me, you don't get much better than that.
Right, yeah, brilliant storyline, great kick. His technique was perfect. Proper got his foot through it, and yeah, brilliant to see. I loved Hurt's reaction. He just went, yeah, well done, son. Now it's my time. But yeah, very happy. My ones, it was in a loss, so the storyline's not as good as your one, but it's Blake Groupie of the New Orleans Saints. They got 15 points, and every single one was with his foot. Very good game by Blake Groupie and for no one else. The New Orleans Saints, as we said, struggling with injuries, but this man can kick a field goal.
They might need him going forward.
Well, I think they will. But Bish, yeah, been a pleasure. Take us through your final thoughts, Bish. You lead the way.
Yeah, we look forward to another big week of games. The fantasy league is hotting up, as I said. That 6th spot is crucial, and you know the big dogs at the top are flexing a little bit, and they'll be changing positions. So yeah, but we're on YouTube, so please subscribe, like the video, tell us how you're getting on in your fantasy leagues. There will be spots available in the next season, so if you get in there early, get your details down early. Obviously, that'll go a long way to getting you in next season. But yeah, enjoy your fantasy playoffs. Enjoy the games at the weekend, and see you later on in the week.
See you soon, Bish.